Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope everyone is doing great. Well, this is my last episode of APS Advanced Practical Skill Presentation. Uh, in my all previous videos, I think this is 11th part or the 12th part or the 13th part. I don't know exactly. It's I think the 13th part, I guess, or a 12th part, whatever. Okay. In the my last series of videos, you have witnessed I have explored each and every section of paper 3, either question number 1 or question number 2, in detail. Either it's about writing a measured value or a calculated answer, making a table, predicting a percentage uncertainty in a variety of quantities, plotting a graph, getting the units, intercept, and the gradient factors, right? Collecting the data, uh, generating a concises on the value of k, how to develop this concises. This all I have explained in quite in detail in my previous videos. Now this is the last part, and this is also considered the most credited part of the paper. And you also remember the most credited part of the paper for question 1 was the table of results, where you can get 10 to 12 marks out of 20, and this one you will get 8 out of 20 straight away. And obviously if you get 8 out of 20 straight away, you can also get 0 out of 20 straight away from this particular part. And this is called as limitations and improvements. And here we are expecting I will explain some general guidelines how to write a report. I'm not going to solve any past year questions in this slide here particularly. As I have done previously in my videos, I have made references from different past year questions and explain how to write an answer. But right now I am discussing in a very general context about how to write this final report, limitation and improvement. This is a tail ender part, and this what explains exactly how good a candidate is about its practical task and finishing the job. Limitation improvement is a part of question number 2, where we deliberately give you some sort of measuring task which are apparently find you will find them apparently a bit difficult to perform, or you will find an provision of inappropriate measuring instrument for a particular quantity being measured, or you may find yourself standing in that environment which give you some sort of hurdle or some sort of difficulty, a dikkat. In Urdu it's called dikkat, the limitation is called dikkat. The environment will give you a dikkat to measure something. We deliberately do this in this particular section of exam, okay, so that you can come up with the idea of all those possible limitations you faced, right? So that you can write a report in this last section, here and here, and their improvements here, right? Although I've mentioned a reference, but let me first of all just share with you some dil ki baatein, how to write the limitation and improvements. All right, so here again, you remember in in my very first video I have shown the breakdown. If I just scroll to page number 9, how can I do that? It will gonna take a time, but I guess if I just go to the page setting here, this is page number 1, all the way, page number 1, question number 1. How many total marks are there? 17. But the question 1 full marks are 20. Question 2 full marks are 20. But how many marks are there? 17. 3 remaining marks from each question makes total, where they are why they are missing from these breakdowns, because these are allocated paper to paper by the by the examiner across the practical skills shown by the candidate. And if I come back all the way here, and when you specifically, you know, like talking about a limitation and improvements, and you give us some lame ideas what sort of limitations are there, you will definitely lose a mark. Out of 8, definitely you will lose a mark, and out of those 6 you will lose a mark as well. Remember this one. So be very careful and give us a proper physics. Next piece of advice: we never judge the handwriting, though it's supposed to be at least that much clear that it can be readable. We never judge the English grammar in this particular part. One hesitation from the candidate I have experienced is that somehow, because of a language barrier, they are unable to write or finish the proper report for limitation and improvements. We never judge the spelling mistakes or the grammar mistakes, but we do judge if you make a physics mistake. Your physics grammar must be correct at any cost at all. All right. Okay. Number 2. Number 3. When you are going to write a report, we will give you an ample space for that. For instance, one of the question, October number 15, paper 34, the K factor is there. The formula for the K is mentioned. In the formula for the K, there is also a value for the V, which is a volume, right? And then they are asking you to get the 4 sources of uncertainty, right, over here. And then similarly, the 4 improvements here. 4 marks out of 4, all right, and 4 marks over here, means in together it's total 8 marks. One evergreen uncertainty or limitation, or source of uncertainty or limitation, one evergreen is that you are asked particularly in question number 2 to provide us just 2 sets of observations to compile your result, to summarize your result, which is not fair enough. So the 2 sets of observations are not enough to draw a valid conclusion about T and V, because a relationship holds between T and V. But let me show you the wrong physics but the correct English for this particular part. The 2 sets of rating, how a student can write it down. The 2 values provided to me for K are not enough to validate a relationship. Wrong physics, right English. Okay, again, 2 readings of K are not enough to validate the result. Wrong physics. K is a calculated value and readings related to the measurements. How you take the reading of K's. There is no instrument ever been made who can judge the value of K. It's been calculated. That's a wrong physics, guys. These are some just 2 examples which I mostly observe while checking the mock papers or the term mid-year papers, right? So please, 2 sets of observations and make a name of those observations who are making the K. Then you will get the answer. All right. Now, a one okay, final response. How you gonna write the answer then? Take more sets of observations and product graph to confirm a relationship, or obtain at least 6 sets of K values and compare them to confirm the relationship. This is the right physics. Instead of that, how student used to write, see, let me take it with then. Take more sets of values and take an average. Sorry for my handwriting. Take an average. Now that's a wrong physics. Never talk about take more sets and take an average. Never ever say like this. Okay? So at least out of 8, I have give you this assurity with a very I must say with a very confidence that out of 8 you can get 2 marks. Out of 8, 2 marks are confirmed if you try to finish your first limitation either at number 1 or maybe at number 4. You can write this one anywhere. But since I have observed in the mark schemes, and by the way, one good thing is that in the entire paper history of paper 3, it's been since conducted from 2010. The pattern for this paper 3 is was updated in 2010, so it's almost same. And every year in the mark scheme they publish the report for limitations and their improvements, and the very first point is sometimes this one, or at the very last point would be this one. And then the rest of the point 2, 3, 4, how to write these points. All right, so this is one thing is done, at least 2 marks are secured. Okay, now go back to the question. This is the question. All right, I have to write number 2. Now what I have to write: number 2, number 3, number 4. Again, I am not going to write an ideal report here. I am telling you the methods, how I, if I have to check the question paper or the examiner has to check what areas he is looking for. Okay, this is what I am telling you, and this is the purpose of this whole video, by the way, and the series of videos. Okay, so the first thing I have mentioned. Second thing, now go back to the question, right? Thoroughly scan the question and jot down what things in type 2 question, in question number 2, what physical quantities you have measured in a sequential order. Let's say, did you measure D first, then L, then T, or either T first, 1, 2 sequential order, or maybe time on the first in the first position, then L, and then the whatever it is. You can just go back, jot it down, okay, right, figure it out, and then now start writing according to the sequence. Let's say D, I will write the first limitation for D, second limitation for L, right, L, and then the first limitation and the last limitation for the T. For D, for L, for T, my 4 points are enough. If I have something more in my mind, I can even use the space provided below these 4 lines and then write down the 5th point and the 5th improvement. Follow the sequence. Again, you remember those 3 marks which were not appearing in the breakdown window I have mentioned in my first video, right? The 3 marks. This is called excellency, the advanced practical skills, the common sense, the proper physics the candidate is showing to us. The sequential order. Instead of that, you are giving me a houch pouch approach, right? Number 3, I am writing the 2 sets of readings at number 3, at number 2, and number 4. If you give us a decent way which give us a sense that student is like I must say, like, is competent enough and is compiled, and he has a sense of maturity how to finish the job, then definitely you will get a credit from those 3 marks for this question, and similarly for the question number 1. All right, so follow this sequence. Always look into the formula for the K. The formula for the K is T upon V, and V is pi d square L upon 4. And please, 4 and pi's, which are constants, ignore them in your mind. So it means you are left with T, D, and L only. So 1 point or 2 points for time, 1 point for D or 2 points for D, 1 point for L or 2 points for L. You have a comfortable way to finish your report. Now, since I have just mentioned this particular part is reported in the mark scheme, so whatever the references I have just made in this videos, or maybe what you have practices in your booklets during your college sessions, so you can thoroughly read those mark schemes. But please, again, the final piece of advice: do not write exactly how it is written in the mark scheme. If I or examiner have this sense in mind that student has memorized the whole mark scheme. Let's say what could be the possible ways of writing an error in all the entire mark schemes of the past year questions for time, for instance, and I have memorized them. Now somehow luckily the one of the method is repeated, is going to be repeated in the exam. I figured it out. Oh, he's asking for the time period of like the limitation of time, and I have memorized seven or five different methods on mark schemes. And you start writing exactly what you have memorized ditto from the mark scheme, you will lose a mark for that. Keep this in mind. Okay, so these are some like suggestions for writing this report. And again, if you have something in your mind, you can pass a comment or leave a comment here. I will try to answer those comments. And this is since the last video. I hope you have enjoyed all these sessions, video sessions for the paper 3, and try to improve your blackings, and so that you can get better grades in paper 3. Again, paper 3 marking is very strict, and there are so many ways. So if I'm like carefully watch all the series of these videos. And still though, if you find anywhere like a sort of a problem or limitation, you can pass it on the comment. Inshallah, I will try to answer. So again guys, best of luck all of you who are watching this video. My best and sincere wishes for upcoming exam series, and I hope what I have just done by making this series of videos will definitely this is my wish, and deep from my heart, that will help you a lot. It will I try my level best to help you in somehow to secure a good grade in paper 3. Best of luck again, and Allah Hafiz. Thank you very much.